Here we go. When I read the first songs, tell me if no one can hear me, okay?
I did. Record it. Yeah. I did. Oh, you need it for recording. Okay.
Look, I'll just start. Thank you. May I introduce myself? My name is John King, and I am very proud to be Thomas's grandfather, and also his late grandmother, who adored him being first grandchild. First of all, I must comment how beautiful Lauren looks on that wedding dress. Unbelievable, Lauren. Beautiful wedding dress today, and also her bridesmaid. They make a beautiful bridal party. Together, Lauren and Thomas make a wonderful team. You can see it in their eyes how much love and support they have for each other, and that's Ridgy-Ditch. Ever since I've known Lauren, she's always been a delightful lady. She has a warm and caring nature, and a smile is just so beautiful. Lauren, you are welcome into the family with open arms. Now we get on to Thomas. Just let me tell you one story about Thomas. It was way back in the year 1997, and Thomas wanted to play cricket. And he played for the Wakehurst Redbucks under 9, and I was allocated the coach. That season we might have won an odd game, and we backed it up following season in 98-99. Over the off-season, Thomas came to me and he stated he was retiring from cricket and taking up sailing. I thought to myself, you're dreaming that a grandson of mine has given up the number one team sport on the planet and is going sailing. But being a loving pop, I accepted the news and wished him the best in his new adventure. But I knew someone in our camp has torpedoed me. Not naming anyone, Rob. So we went sailing and the years passed and Thomas was progressing well. And then in 2015 he was selected on the yacht Balance in the Sydney to Hobart and won the very famous handicap trophy. I was a very proud grandfather. Sorry for that, Pamela. And with that outstanding result, I said to myself, well, it certainly beats playing cricket for the Wakehurst Redbucks. I admitted defeat quietly. Lauren is an excellent sailor, and in 2019, Lauren and Thomas crewed together on the Sydney to Hobart. It must have been a fantastic experience for both of them, which they will look back on over the years with fond memories. Before I sit down, I would like to thank the newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Brewer, for asking me to say a few words tonight. It has been an absolute honour, and I will treasure this for a long time to come, hopefully. Finally, from everyone here tonight, and especially myself, we trust you both have a long and loving life together, just as I have had with my dear wife. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Wonderful. Great memories. It's fantastic to hear the family speak together. A beautiful moment. But I think, Tom, the takeaway from that is, whatever you do, don't mention the cricket. I was listening, you see, John, I was listening. Now, however, comes one of those special moments that every bride, not so much the groom, every bride looks forward to. I'd like to introduce Warwick, the father of the bride, to come forward and say a few words. Thanks, Laurie. Thank you.
So, thanks, John. You're a hard act to follow. You've put me on my back foot straight off. Anyway, I'd like to echo Gaz and Pete's warm welcome to you all. I share that sentiment, and thank you all for being here today. For the few of you that I haven't actually met before, I am indeed Lauren's father, Warwick, and typically in our family, when we get together, I'm only allowed to have a non-speaking role. So this is something a little different. It's something I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. But right up until last night, I was actually still quite conflicted about this whole day, because I had a really big decision to make, and I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I'm going to bring it up now. I had to make a decision. I either remember this speech, memorise it word for word, or I memorise my dance steps with Lauren. But I knew I couldn't do both, right? So if you'll excuse me, I've decided it's better to look a little bit forgetful than completely uncoordinated. So excuse me if I glance at these notes. I'm not reading it, I'm just trying to remember where I was going. Tom, asking your pop to open things today, I thought was an absolute genius move. John, we haven't met until today, and I've already said it to you, but hand on my heart, we have heard so much about you over the years, and Lauren only says glowing things. So clearly you have a very special bond with Tom. I'm sure he understands the value of that and appreciates it. I also suspect that you knew that they were engaged long before anybody else in this room. And you don't have to fess up, but I'm onto you, right? Okay. There's a bunch of stuff the father of the bride apparently has to do. It's customary to welcome anyone that's travelled a long way. So to that end, I believe Rochelle is over there somewhere. I believe Rochelle flew in from Perth. Auntie Susie, who I haven't actually officially met yet, Susie from Queensland, well done. And we were with them yesterday, but Caitlin and James flew up from their hometown. Oh, sorry, they didn't fly up, they drove up, didn't you? Sorry, drove up from their hometown in Porapunka. If anyone doesn't know, Porapunka is the new tourist capital of Victoria. Is that too soon? It's a little bit soon. All right, sorry. Anyway, okay, moving along. I didn't know this until quite recently, but it turns out if you Google Father of the Bride speech, there's tons of information there. So I've basically built this around what they said I should do. Apparently the ideal Father of the Bride speech goes for about 7 minutes. I can't quite promise that, but we'll keep moving along. And the internet offered up a short list, really quite a short list of things that you absolutely categorically have to include in a speech. So I read those things and I thought, they're all fair enough. I agree with all of those. But here's the curious thing, right? There's another list on the internet of things that you're not allowed to say as the father of the bride. And it's like 5 times longer, where the first list of things I thought they were completely non-negotiable. The ones that you're not meant to say, I look at that and go, I don't know, I reckon, you could say that. Anyway. So I'm just going to make a start and we'll just see how it goes. Tom, I'm going to go straight to you. Firstly, and this is the big one, right? Seriously. Welcome officially to being part of our family, right? And And with that comes Rob and Joanne. Thank you. Likewise, you're now part of our extended family, although seems like we've known you for a long time. No, I didn't actually mean it like that. Tom, there's responsibilities that come with being part of our family, and they're not too onerous, like bringing a bottle of wine when you come to our place to dinner. And after your honeymoon, I'm happy to take you for a drive and show you where Dan Murphy's is. Anyway, more seriously. According to Google, I have to say, I have to mention how much we love Lauren, and I have to mention how proud we are of her. And I'm certain I speak for Sue as well as myself when I say that our two kids are the single most important thing in our lives by a mile. And Lauren, I'm going to say Loz from now on because it just comes out right. Loz, I honestly, I don't think I need to tell you how much we love you. If it hasn't been a lifelong lived experience, then we haven't done our job properly, I think. But I think we have. No matter what happens, you will be one of my two favourite children. Just see what I did there? You saw that? I'm keeping your options. I'm keeping your options open, buddy. Right? Proud. So it says I have to say how proud I am of Lauren. Again, I say this with my hand on my heart. I don't think there has been a single day, not one day in Lauren's life that we haven't been immensely proud of her and proud of the woman that she's become as well. The internet said I should discuss her achievements and some of the milestones in her life that have brought her to this day. Let me tell you, if I'm going to talk about Lauren's achievements, I'm going to need a lot longer than 7 minutes. But suffice to say, this is a quick summary. We've watched Lauren grow from a primary school student, young one, who used to basically dissolve into tears if she had to stand up in class and say something. Do you remember that? Where's Sharon? Sharon, you remember that, don't you? Yeah? You've come from that to being a confident young lawyer that goes to court, stands toe-to-toe with big business, union bosses, and you don't take a backward step. I just think that's amazing. So Tom, back to Tom, with that comes the fact that you are going to have to accept that you've just married someone, a woman, who argues professionally. So, mate, I'm sorry. I'm not really that sorry, but I'm a little bit sorry to say you are never going to win an argument at home, right? Just forget it. It's all over. And if Lauren starts referring to you as the respondent, that's not a cute little nickname that she wants to call you in the bedroom, right? I can't believe I said that, actually. Anyway, along the way, I've got to tell you a bit about Lauren. Along the way, Lauren became the dux of that primary school, and she worked really hard, like honestly worked hard to earn a place at Manly High, which is a selective school that quite a few of the ladies here went to. And she thrived in that environment, and she achieved to my way of thinking were really quite incredible results that she needed to pursue her chosen career in law. She also spent the best part of a year studying overseas, for anyone that didn't know it. She studied almost a year at Oslo University in Norway, and during that time she got the bug to travel, didn't you? So we'd Skype each other and Lauren go, Dad, how old were you? 20?
I turned
She'd go, Dad, you'll never guess where I am, scoping. I go, well, I'm your father. I'm kind of hoping you're in Norway. She'd go, I'm in Ireland. I'm in Malta. It's like every weekend it was somewhere different. Anyway. And you know what? If wanderlust is the only thing you get from me, Lauren, I'm happy to take the credit for that, right? I'm absolutely happy to take the credit for it. Lauren was on the board of directors of the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club for 2 years. She was the youngest board member in the club's 150-plus year history. It was a huge workload, I know, and by all accounts, she did a stellar job. She's also had some pretty significant results in the sport of sailing, including, along with a team of young women from Pittwater, winning an Australian Women's Match Racing Championship. I didn't see that coming, I must admit. That was incredible, fantastic result. But there's something else, so now I'm getting a little bit serious now. There's something else I want to tell you about Lauren, and that is she would not be the person she is if it wasn't for the influence of one person, above all else, and of course that's Sue. There has always been unconditional love between Lauren and Sue. And it's most obvious in the good times and the bad times. And we've had a few of both in our family. What happens between the good times and the bad times can sometimes, to the untrained ear, sound like a bit of a train wreck. You know the expression, the irresistible force and the immovable object? It's like a bit like that. But I can assure you they have each other's back. They always do, and I think they always will. So I'm pointing out these things about Lauren. I'm trying to make the point that she does set the bar very high. But when she does, she takes responsibilities for her decisions, and more often than not, she's successful. And Tom, you are now one of those decisions, right? And I've no doubt that'll be successful as well. That is not to say that I always agree with your decisions, Lauren. I don't always agree with them. But I usually bite my tongue. Perhaps one of the not so clever, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Perhaps one of the not so clever decisions I've seen you make was to go skiing 3 weeks before your wedding, right? Not very smart. And if you've all seen the photo thing over here with all the photos of various things they've done, the one that's missing is the one with Lauren's face covered in blood. Looks like she's knocked her teeth out, possible fractured wrist. I didn't see that on the board, Loz. Anyway, it's your story. It could have worked out worse. But by far, Loz's biggest life choice, of course, is to spend the rest of hers with Tom. And I'm quite certain that that decision was actually made many, many years ago. And I'm also sure that Tom is the love of Lauren's life. And I'm pretty confident that they'll make a successful marriage. No. Well, I'm confident. Jesus, you're hard. Anyway, I've only got 7 minutes. I've got to keep going. So for those of you, I think everyone knows by now because it's already been mentioned, Lauren and Tom got together through sailing. They met when they were teenagers sailing. Rob, however it works out, we have to take responsibility. We introduced them to sailing, so we can either take the full credit or it's our fault. I think it'll be fine. Looking back, who's got daughters here? Lots of people. It's really interesting how your daughter's partners come into your life. It's sort of, they do it by stealth. It's really interesting. They're not there. They're not there 1 minute, and then the next minute they're there, and a moment later they're part of the furniture, and you can't get rid of them. So, anyway, For us, Tom appeared on the scene around the same time that he was kicking off his sailing coaching career. And in sailing, for those that don't know, coaching is typically you spend hours out on the water, getting smashed by the sun and the weather and that. You're yelling at kids, usually young kids, but not always. You're yelling at kids over the noise of the wind, over the motorboat, absolutely bellowing at them. They don't half the time want to do what you want them to do. And all the time you're anywhere from 10 metres to 100 metres away while this is all going on. So it shouldn't really have been that surprising that when Tom started coming around to our house after a day of coaching, right, he would arrive looking like he's just crossed the Pacific Ocean. And the volume, my God, the volume was up to 10. It was like, yeah. And I remember thinking, whoa, this young guy likes to be heard. Anyway, either he's mellowed out a bit or I've lost a bit of hearing over the years. It's been 17 years. Another thing I remember, this is funny actually, another thing I remember is when Tom hadn't been dating Lauren too long, he was still pretty new on the scene, and he drove this old white Holden Commodore. John, that wasn't your car, was it? Before I say this. Oh, okay, cool. He drove this piece of crap old white Holden Commodore. It was an absolute shocker, right? Anyway, they're about to go out one night. They've come round to our place. They're about to go out. And Loz comes in and she says, Dad, can you come and have a look at Tom's car? It's making some really weird noises and it smells like something's burning. I thought, okay, I can do that. So I went and had a quick look, and we very quickly established that the rear axle bearings were like completely gone. The axle seals were gone, they were pouring oil everywhere, and what was left of the brakes on the back was so completely covered in oil that, anyway, you remember I told you how much we love our daughter? Our daughter was not going anywhere in that car, nowhere, right? And there was Sue and I, and what are you going to do? Anyway, Sue came up with this genius idea that she would give them our car, or Sue's car, to take out for the night, and they'd park Tom's car in our garage. This is what I was told to do, and I will fix Tom's car. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah, Tom, is that not true? It is true. Anyway, 3 or 4 nights went by. I'd worked on the car each night, and it was all good. Tom was due to drop in that night and collect his car. So I left the invoice for the parts out where he would see it. And before he arrived, the invoice had vanished, just disappeared. And I said to Sue, what happened to the invoice? And she said, oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. You just be quiet. Don't worry about it. I was just like, what the hell is going on here? What is this all about? But clearly Sue saw something going on. She was miles ahead of me. And also remember, I told you that I normally have a non-speaking role, so the situation was normal, really. Lauren went off to study in Norway, and a lot of people, well, some people, asked us, did we think that their relationship would survive Lauren being away? Because she's going to be away for most of the year. And honestly, we really had no idea. They were still quite young, and we really didn't have any idea. But the reality was, it probably cemented their relationship in a way that we kind of hadn't really anticipated. Tom made his way to Europe, he made his way to Norway. Did you go to Norway, or did you meet in Rome? Paris. Okay, Tom made his way to Europe, and they had their first big adventure travelling around Europe. Were you on your way home, or was it during holidays you had over there?
I was in Asia and then went across.
But you were still staying in Norway, weren't you? Yeah, you had another month to go. So that was their first big adventure. Since then, and Lauren's already stolen some of my thunder tonight, but since then there has been many, many adventures. I didn't know about that photo board, and you could see a lot of them there, but an executive summary, right? They've raced together on a yacht in the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. They've been to Nepal and they trekked to Everest Base Camp. They've flown hot air balloons in Cappadocia in Turkey. These are just some of the things, not even close to all of them. They've skied in USA, they've skied in Canada, they've skied in New Zealand, they've scuba dived, I don't know where, underwater somewhere. I don't know. So when people ask us, do we think Tom and Lauren are right for each other? Honestly, there's only one answer now. It's not a question of are they right for each other, it's a question of how could they possibly not be together, because they've already done so much stuff. So that's the light-hearted part of my speech. The internet also tells me that I have to offer some words of advice. So here they are. All right, Loz? Not so long ago, you said to me, it was probably 6 months ago, I can't even remember the context, but you said to me that your mother and I had had a very successful marriage. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's typical Lauren, very business-like, very transactional. But you know what, like, I accepted it. I accepted it as the compliment it was meant to be, right? It was meant to be a compliment, and certainly that's the way I took it. But Tom and Lauren, I'm being a little bit serious now. We love that you have travelled as much as you have. And we love that you have done so many really cool things together. But this is my advice. Those things are easy. They are actually easy things to do, right? Because they're fun and whatever. If you look around this room, I see a lot of couples here who have had very, very successful marriages. And I reckon if you ask any one of them what the secret was, they will tell you, I just want to read this just in case I get this wrong. They will tell you the secret to the success of their marriage was built on working together when things aren't always easy, working on their careers, working on creating a home and a family, and above all, supporting one another when it's needed. Marriage is not always easy, and that's the truth. But you guys have made a great start, and honestly, I am so looking forward to seeing how you go with the rest of it in the years to come. So, I lied to you about 7 minutes. I know I'm already up to about 10, right? I thought I could get away with it. I know my 7 minutes are well and truly up, but before I wrap up with a toast to the bride and the groom, there is one small piece of housekeeping that needs to be done. Tom, I had this invoice for car parts. If you pass it down. It's been gnawing at me for years, Tom. But I tell you what, because you're family, I'll take 10% off for cash, or you can pay it off in bottles of red wine. All right, it's time to wind it up seriously. Some of you may have heard of an American author, journalist. She was a lady by the name of Mignon McLaughlin. It goes back about 100 years. But she was very famous for making this quote. She said, "Successful marriages are built on falling in love over and over and over, but always with the same person." So I'd like you all to join me in a toast. Actually, I don't have a glass. I need a glass. I'd like you to all join me in a toast, wishing you a successful marriage and a wonderful life together, may you fall in love with each other over and over and over. Tom and Lauren.
Thanks, Warwick. Marvellous. That's what we love to hear, the stories. There's just one other little bit of advice from the extended sailing family, Tom, that we can offer you. That if ever you hear Lauren say, "Just cop it," beware. Ask for context later. What we'd like to do, we've got the dinners coming out fairly soon, so we'd like to move into the speech from Emily. The Maid of Honour, please. Emily, if you'd like to come up. Wonderful. Thanks, Emily.
Can I get you to put a little bit more of water in that? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
If
you.
you could, the camera on the left side.
Okay, moving. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily, and I have the absolute privilege of being Lauren's maid of honour. I'm not going to call her Lauren either. I don't know why, but yeah. And her best friend since high school. I will say from the outset that I'm leaving the jokes and the roasting for Martin and Ross. And we'll stick with heartfelt sentiment about my best friend and her new husband. When I first met Loz as a teenager, I knew straight away she was someone special. Even back then, she was determined, ambitious, and always had her eye on the future. Loz isn't just my best friend, she's the kind of friend who shows up for you in every way that matters. Loyal, supportive, and always ready to laugh or lend a hand no matter what. Whether it's exams, sports, or planning out her next big adventure, Loz always threw herself into everything with her whole heart, and tonight is no exception. She has been waiting for this day for a very long time, and it couldn't be more perfect. When Loz sets her mind to something, there's no stopping her. And when she met Tom, I think all of us could see very quickly that she had set her mind and her heart on Tom. Tom, you balance Loz in the best way. You match her adventurous spirit, you embrace her ambitions, and you make her laugh more than anyone I know. Together, you bring out the fun and fearless in each other. Over the years, I've been lucky enough to share countless adventures and life milestones with Loz, from school days filled with inside jokes to late nights drinking and dreaming what the future would hold. Loz has achieved so much in her life, and it has been a joy to witness and be a part of. But nothing makes me happier than standing here today, seeing Loz and Tom start the biggest and most exciting adventure of all. You two remind us all that love is not just about romance, but also about partnership, laughter, and choosing each other every single day. You inspire everyone around you with your energy, your sense of fun, and the way you clearly so belong together. So if everyone would please raise a glass to Loz and Tom. May your marriage be as adventurous as your travels, as ambitious as your dreams, and as full of joy as this very moment tonight. Cheers.
Wonderful. Thanks, Emma. I'd like to call upon the father of the groom to come up and share with us a speech and a toast. I'd like to invite Rob Brewer to the floor, please. Those who might not know, Rob is one of our great sailing coaches, but something that I don't think he really schooled his son in very well, or his son skipped a semester on proposals. It seemed to be missing for many years. Many years. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you. So I got an instruction. I have to stand near the barrel, and I'm not allowed to dance. Is that right, Lauren? Oh, I got a message saying. Must dance after. Okay, got it. Okay, so I'm Tom's father, obviously. My name's Rob, and I'm going to start a little bit chronologically so that you can kind of follow the story, because I think it's important you understand a little bit about Tom. And Warwick has filled us in very much about Lauren, so I think it's only fair that I get to show my pride in my son as well. Look, I'm the son of a country boy and a surfing mum. And that gave me great adventure. I had a grandfather who used to always, my brothers and sisters will attest to, we'd get dragged out the back for the best waves when we were surfing. And I was introduced to sailing very early on, which I fell in love with, which I really love and still love to this day. So that aside, and a lot of people go, oh, Rob Brewer, he's that sailing guy, but there's a lot more to it. Despite my sailing, I met my lovely wife, my beautiful wife Joanne, on a boat. Where else would she find me? She was there with her friend and best friend Alison, who's up the back here. And she's going to come into the story as well along the way because she's still here. So all those years. So pretty soon Joanne was involved in the sailing as well. But we were both really keen skiers, snow skiers. And Joanne introduced me to, I'd sort of started doing a bit of international sailing, and Joanne, being a travel junkie that she is, that got me going on the travel thing as well. So we did do a lot of travelling when we were young. We returned from living overseas, and despite John's best efforts, I managed to, as Warwick said, I came in by stealth and managed to get Joanne's hand in marriage. And some years later, along came Tom. So with the help of Alison, who's standing at the back there, No, nothing to do with that. I should have mentioned that bit. So I don't know about that, Alison. But within a few months, she was there the day he was born, and not that involved. So it was only a few months down the track, and Tom was on his first yacht race, doing his first regatta. He was, those plastic box, for those of you that are kind of my age, the babies used to come in a plastic box with a Velcro strap over their chest. Did you ever get that? And it clipped in the back of the car. So we thought that was a very useful thing. We thought that was a very handy thing to have, because we could pack him into the bottom of the yacht with life jackets and he wouldn't go very far. And every now and then we'd drop a spinnaker on him at every leeward mark rounding. And Alison had to dive downstairs to... I'll pack the spinnaker, would go Alison. And she'd run downstairs. Well, we wouldn't see it for the whole beat. If you're understanding, following any sailing terminology here, this is like the next leg, which might take 20 minutes. We've never seen Alison back on the deck of the yacht. She'd eventually emerge and say, I was just playing with Tom. So he was introduced to sailing at a very, very early age. Sorry, John. It happened way before the cricket. It's a few years later, and Tom had his own gear bag and his own kit and the team shirt and everything else, and we were doing very successful racing down at the CYC, down at the Cruising Yacht Club and on the harbour. Tom was often seen at the CYC tables, sidling up onto one of the benches and sitting in amongst the team of one of our opposing yachts and offering them coaching advice. We're talking maybe a 3 or 4 year old. He would offer constructive criticism, like, you guys didn't go very well today, which got us, a lot of help on the racecourse in the future. But look, he was obviously destined to be sailing very early on. But Joanne and I foolishly went, oh, look, ski tickets are free for 3-year-olds. So we took him down the snow, big mistake, as we did with all our kids. This was part of our purpose in life that I saw and Joanne saw, as our purpose in life was to raise a really nice person. So we dragged him out to anything we could. We dragged him all over the countryside. We drove everywhere with regattas. We introduced him to sailing, and we got him down the track of what we thought. Now, the purpose of me mentioning that I'm a son of a country boy, we dragged all our kids out to my father's hometown of Condobolin. Now, if anyone knows where, does anyone know where Condobolin is? Yeah, it's the most central town in New South Wales, and it's flat, and it's red dirt, and it rarely rains. So we've dragged them out there in their board shorts and everything, and they stepped out of the car and went, "Where are we?" So this is part of their rounding them off as wonderful kids. So we've done all that, and Tom's become a very good sailor. He's growing old. He's getting towards the end of his schooling career. He's found himself into Manly Selective High, which happens to be where Lauren ended up, but this is not the point. So that's a coincidence and doesn't come into the equation yet. So Tom's been raised to be a pretty good guy. We're pretty proud of what we've created in this boy, and he's still a boy to me. And with the help of my parents, Charles and Joan, who are gone, and John, and his loving grandmother of Helen, these people helped us shape what we thought at the time, and still think, what a wonderful person. So, Tom, we're very proud of the person you are and the person you've become. So, at that point, it goes back to the sailing. So I'm off to a regatta, and Tom's been sailing a few years, and he's hooked up with his mate Stuart. Oh, here he is, yeah. From the age of 7 in a boat, mischievous, the whole lot. So anyhow, we end up at Smith Lake up the coast, and there's a championship going on in a spiral class, and I can remember very distinctly, it is clear in my mind, I'm sailing out for the first race, and alongside me is sailing this young girl in another spiral, and she's pulling on her sailing gloves and getting ready to race. And I looked at her, and I think we exchanged a few words, and I remember thinking to myself, for that whole race, this is an Australian championship that I'm trying to win, and the whole race I'm totally distracted, thinking, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And sure enough, I was hoping Stuart would come to the rescue, but there was a chemistry just instantly went on, and it goes on today. I see exactly that same chemistry I saw in that very first week where you guys met. So I thought, gee, we're in trouble with this girl. And she can be trouble. How are we going to deal with this? So Joanne and I decided we're going to test her, right? We're going to find out whether this girl can keep up, because there's a lot goes on in our life. So we're going skiing. So we've dragged her down the snow. Anyone that knows Lauren, how do you reckon she went? She just took it on. It was, what was the expression you used? There was a question, there was something earlier. But, yeah. But, no, certainly Lauren took that on. So we're like, this is strange. Okay, we're still in trouble. Then we discover, she goes to the same school. We're in more trouble. And on we go. So then we go, right, okay, we're going to take her out to the country. We're going to take her to Condobolin and really test her here. So I wouldn't say she came through with flying colours there. There was a moment just in the holding pens of a sheep shearing shed where us experienced people knew to get out of the way when the sheep come. Lauren, but I've got to say, while it disturbed me a little bit, it actually impressed me too, that this girl was able to stand her ground with 120 sheep coming at her through a narrow gate, and she was in the middle. So well done, Lauren, well done. At which point I thought, that's it, we're done. So, sure enough, look, time's rolled on. And I'm going to keep it well inside my 7 minutes because Warwick used up all our time clock. But one of the things I'm going to address is that there's a lot of talk about, it's about time. How come it took so long? For us, it's always been. The moment Lauren was in our life, she was a member of our family and we knew she was there to stay. So this is just another part of their journey in life. I've watched their journey so far with great pride, and they make, as Warwick said, they make great decisions. They're grown up. I think we succeeded, Joanne. He's a really good bloke and he's picked just an equally gorgeous girl. So I would like to propose a toast to this beautiful couple. And welcome. I'd like to say welcome to our family, Lauren, but you're already part of it. So here you are. There you go, blokes.
Thanks, Rob. Very nice. Now it's time to call up on Martin and Ross, the groomsmen. Always a little bit of a nervous time when the groomsmen come up for a bit of a speech, but all the best and give it your best there.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you for reminding me I'm on camera. Stand to the left. So the hardest part about this speech is that we're going last. So the three of us have been really good mates for quite a long time now, and every single wedding, the best man speech has been filled with laughter and filled with lots and lots of ribbing of the couple. The challenge that Ross and I face is that Tom has been dating Lauren for literally half my lifetime. and the end result of that is that Lauren is one of my best friends. And that's an amazing part. And I'm really, really excited to be watching two of my best friends get married tonight. But when thinking about how to rib Tom and how to take a little bit of the mickey of him, we have to go back quite a long time in history. We have to go back to a land before Lauren. So if we cast our mind back to a land before Lauren, and I'm going to go to the first time I ever heard about Lauren. I'm on a mountain bike with Tom, and we used to ride all up and down the Ku-ring-gai Chase. So we grew up in Terry Hills, so not too far from here. And we drove my parents, and I'm pretty sure we drove Rob and Joanne, fairly mental, with every time we should have been studying for the HSC, we both decided we needed some stress relief, and we went for a bike ride for the better part of 2 or 3 hours and disappeared at night time. And a little bit before Tom's sort of 19th or 20th birthday, he started talking about this girl he didn't like. This girl that he definitely wasn't going to start dating. This girl that he definitely wasn't that interested in. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. She seems to like him, but he's not that interested. And it went on and on and on. For like 5 or 6 weeks, every time we got on a bike, all Tom would talk about was all of the reasons why, and they were fairly thin and mediocre reasons, to be honest, all of the reasons why he wasn't going to date Lauren. And then his 20th birthday party rolls around, so I've tried to sneak 2 beers out of my father's house, because I'm 17 at this point in time, and I've got them behind my back, and Dad's gone, would you like some beers? Can you put your left hand forward to get them? And I've kind of had to fess up that I've stolen some. So I've walked in and I've greeted Tom, and he's got a bottle of Coke and a bottle of rum in his hands, and he introduces me to everyone. I've wandered into the kitchen of Joanne and Rob's house, and I've gone over to this group of people, and there's Loz. And I've gone, oh, hi, I'm Martin. She goes, I'm Lauren. And I looked at her and went, she's got a brand new dress on. She's got a brand new pair of heels on. Tom's cooked. She doesn't stand a chance. And that was the beginning of a really lovely friendship for me and Loz, and a wonderful relationship between Tom and Lauren. And I couldn't be more thrilled to call them both my mates. So I have to go back to the scroll. So the wonderful part about Tom is that he's the life of the party. If you have a quiet room or a sad room or a room that just needs some noise and some joy in there, you can put Tom in there, and what you hear is the laughter, the cackle, and the sound of his voice carrying through holding court as he tells an anecdote about whatever amusing thing has happened in his life. Whether it's Dave and the Darwin door, whether it's the window lickers at his last office, whether it's whatever part of teacher and sport politics is going on at the moment, Tom always has a story. And he's that friend who's there for you in thick or thin. If you have a 2 a.m. problem and you go, I need a rescue, you can put a call in and Tom is the person who will answer that call, tell you you're being a bit of a knob, and then get in the car and pick you up. He's an absolute legend. And I'm really, really lucky that through my friendship with Tom, I got to meet one of my best friends, Lauren. And she is an absolutely wonderful human being who just, one of the things that when I was Googling what to do in a best man speech when you're friends with the bride and the groom is don't take the piss out of the bride. So Loz to me is that friend who, whenever I have a horrible time in life, she is there. So I snapped my knee about 10 years ago and Loz and I used to go to the gym and she dealt with my miserable recovery of sitting on the floor and sticking my legs straight and did it with me to pretend that it was fun. And that to me is the essence of Lauren. She's there when you need her. She's that person who, if you need a rock to lean on, she's always available. She's a little bit intense about her goals occasionally and may or may not push at them, but she's absolutely a wonderful human being. And I couldn't be happier to call the two of them my best mates. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Ross, and due to a rotational system devised about 15 minutes before Martin's wedding, I'm the other best man for today. For those who know Tom well, they'll know he's a man of adventure. He's an ideas man, and he's full of enthusiasm to try new things and go and do cool stuff whenever he possibly can. People who know Tom will also know that the long-term follow-through doesn't always meet the initial enthusiasm. So I'd like to take a moment to just list a few things that he has started but been a little distracted from over the years. We have kiteboarding, we have kite racing, we have kite skiing, we have skateboarding, both short and longboards. We have park skiing, there was a veggie garden, there's Mai Tai for a little bit, there was mountain biking as a teenager, free diving, snorkeling, wasp sailing, bouldering, rock climbing, whitewater kayaking. There was mountain biking again as an adult. There's been some wine tasting. There's been meat smoking. There's been tax returns that definitely never got finished. There's been go-karting and even a few attempts at legitimate jobs, corporate ones. That said, there are a few things that have come up tonight that are things that he has been rock solid committed to. The first one that has been unwavering is skiing, and then obviously sailing. In these realms, Tom is never too tired and never loses focus. He has a real go big or go home attitude. When Tom goes skiing, he goes big. When Tom goes sailing, he goes really big. When Tom goes to the gym, he just goes home. Look, sailing is Tom's world, and in that pursuit, he gives 110%, and his reputation is well earned. He's known for excellence in his skill set, but even more importantly, he's known for coaching and moulding a lot of young people, kids and young adults. And in that realm, he has done a phenomenal job, and more important than making them good sailors, he's made a lot of them really great people. In doing so, the key cornerstone of that has been his ability to communicate, and it's combined with, we'll call it natural leadership. I, for one, have experienced that natural leadership firsthand. At one point in our younger years, Tom was managing a boat called Astral, where he was paid to manage it on behalf of the yacht owner and had to organise all things, especially crew. A few crew members had, we'll call them, attendance issues. In doing that, there was a Sunday regatta, a Friday night rolls round, and he has a few people bail on him. And he sits there next to me on the couch, he says, "Oh, that's all right. We can go a little shorthand and I'll just convince Loz to sail, sorry." and she's very capable, that'll be great. Okay, seems fair enough. Loz is a great sailor. Saturday night comes round, yet another person bails. So Tom again sits down next to me on the couch at Narrabeen where the three of us live together. And he just says, "Ross, you're vaguely familiar with boats. And you're not a retard, so come sailing." So I thought, all right, I can do that. So I thought inspiration like that, I totally get why he's such a great coach. It just hit me right there, you know? Nonetheless though, those who spend a lot of time with Tom realise that you get swept up in his enthusiasm no matter what. And when he speaks about things he loves, he just speaks with such enthusiasm. But there is always a tell to know when he's delved into something that isn't just a passing fancy, it's something that matters. And that tell is, miraculously, he somehow becomes a morning person. And there have been plenty of occasions where Tom and I had a long discussion about the fact that we both struggle for motivation to go to the gym. So I thought, you know what will make this better? A gym buddy. So sure enough, we set our alarms at 6 o'clock. I wake up, I get dressed, I knock on their door and say, "Mate, it's time to go." And I usually am met with a croaky voice of saying, "I'm too tired, let's try again tomorrow." I'd then go off to the gym, do an entire workout, come back, he'd still be in bed. But, you know, somehow this same person, when we go skiing, is up there for first lifts, ready to go, no matter what. If we go diving, for example, he is somehow at the back of the boat, flippers on, tank filled, ready to go before they've even opened the gate. The rest of us are dragging ourselves out of the room, you know, rubbing our eyes, going, "Good Lord, this is early to be started." And there's Tom, grin from ear to ear, saying, "Let's get amongst the day." And same with skiing, I've seen that. So all of this is significant because there's one more thing for which Tom's commitment and enthusiasm has never wavered, and that's obviously Loz. He's tried a lot of hobbies to know which ones are for him, but since the day you made yourself known to him, he has never wavered in his enthusiasm for going through life with you. Tom is very self-assured. It's one of his greatest qualities. And I'm sure he does that because he has the confidence that comes from having the right person to come home to. He loves adventures, like the Hobart, but he loves having you come down to Tasmania and meet him at the end even more. And that's because I know no adventure is complete until it returns home to Loz at the end. And going with that behaviour of the things he loves of becoming a morning person, the way you, Loz, can know that no matter what, he's rock solid, it's because for the proposal, he got himself out of bed, up the mountain at dawn. So you're all sweet. Yeah. Exactly. Suspicious behaviour, I know. That said, when Tom is passionate, he's focused, and a focused Tom is elite in whatever he does. And he has now decided to commit himself to being your husband. And so I'm sure in that endeavour, he's going to be incredible. Combine that with you, Loz, an ultimate force, an overachiever who doesn't even know the existence of the word fail. And I am convinced that between the two of you, your marriage can only end one way, and that is success. Oh, I had a great word for this. Passion, that was the other one. Passion and success. The two things that spring to mind whenever I describe either of you. And so, along with everyone else in the room, I can't wait to witness it. So, to everyone, please stand, grab your glasses. Sorry, I know that's harder for some of you than others, but I believe for the last time to Tom and Loz.
Tom and Loz! That's son.
Well said. Yeah. Great speech, guys. Someone must have been very nervous about what they were going to say, because I was just handed this piece of paper. It says, Tom is incredibly intelligent, charming, good-looking, great dancer, sharp-witted, loves Wilson Phillips, and is an awesome sailor. And I can't believe, I do say myself, Tom, that you have very neat handwriting. Well, Lauren, there isn't enough paper to write on here to talk about you. You're an absolute champ, fun to be around. We've done a lot of sailing together with Lauren and Tom, and it's always lots and lots of fun. And Lauren, great to see you finally said yes to Tom's many requests of marriage. It started 10 years ago. In sailing, we've got the RRS, which is the Racing Rules of Sailing. And Tom and Lauren were down on the lawn there signing away today, but Tom doesn't know that he signed up for the LRMs. And the LRMs are Lauren's rules of marriage, so... And apparently 13.2, Lauren gets a bell tomorrow and she rings at you, run, buddy. So without further ado, come up and have a chat. Here's Tom and Lauren. Who's going first? Both.
We'll start this thing together, right?
Tom probably needs to write a reply. No, you might do it.
Lots of people call their partner their better half, but I've never met another bride for whom it's a measurable, objective fact.
Cool.
Tom. Tom, I've loved you and cherished having you in my life for 17 of my 34 years. You've made it the best half of my life, and the best is yet to come. 17 years is an extraordinary length of time to wait for a proposal. So how lucky are we that we have so many incredible friends here tonight who have supported us over so many years and waited and stuck with me while I waited patiently and sometimes not so patiently to get here. It means everything to me that you're all here tonight. There are some particularly special MVPs that I want to acknowledge and thank. First and foremost, to my mum and dad.
We didn't even make the first page.
Bear with me. Mum, you got a lot of laughs out of telling everyone it took me 9 goes to find just the right pair of wedding shoes. But I know it's not lost on you that I got my Imelda streak from you. There's a lot about me that's just like you, Mum, and there's a lot more that I look up to you for. You have always been the most loyal and caring friend and have maintained many lifelong friendships. And I have no doubt that the example that you've set is the reason why we have so many forever friends here with us tonight. Dad, I didn't only get your wanderlust, but that did come from you. I'm so lucky that you shared your love of sailing with me from such a young age, because it has shaped and enriched my life in so many ways. It's given me a fierce competitive streak, taught me both independence and teamwork, given me a sport for life and a wonderful community of friends, and, of course, is where I first met Tom. I look forward to every chance that you and I get to race together, Dad, or even just to have a milkshake and catch up at the yacht club. There are no words that could truly express how profoundly grateful I am to you both for all your endless love and support. You have shown me what a long and loving marriage looks like. Together, you have taught me the value of commitment, hard work, and patience, and what a wonderful life those traits can build. To me, these things are what it means to be a Crossman. They're lessons that will always stay with me and serve me well in my own marriage, and I hope I can pass them on to our children one day. Rob and Joanne, thank you for welcoming me with open arms into your family. Brewers and Crossmans have in common that we always put family first, and I know that Tom and I both bring that principle into our marriage. Thank you for raising Tom to be kind, patient enough to teach me to ski and to drive a manual, and generous with his love. Thank you for raising the man of my dreams. I'll always love, honour and cherish him. And to Catherine, James, Jackson and Caitlin, how amazing to finally be able to call you my family officially. To my beautiful bridesmaids, I'm so lucky and so thankful to have had such an amazing best friend for 20 years. We've shared so many milestones over 2 decades, and throughout it all, you've maintained an incredible inner strength and steadfastness to your values. Even when we've been in remarkably different seasons of life, we've always stood by each other, and I know we always will. Bron, you're whip smart. You're an absolute force to be reckoned with, and you know how to make everything fun. And Sarah, I have such admiration for your innate calm and confidence and how you bring joy and light wherever you go. And Martin and Ross, although Tom dibsed you as groomsmen, you're my best mates too, and you've made brilliant bridesmen. You're the ones... You're the ones I know would turn up anywhere, anytime if we needed help, and we'll always do the same for you. Tom, my husband. I really like the sound of that. Can you remember Christmas Eve in 2011, the night before I flew out for my uni? It was the night before I flew out for my university exchange in Norway, and you gifted me a beautiful handmade photo album from our 3.5 years together so far at that point. You wrote me a love letter. It was easier to open than this. You wrote me a love letter about how excited you were for me to be going off on an adventure, and you encouraged me to live it to the fullest. You promised that even though we would be on opposite sides of the world, you would always be thinking of me with love in your heart. And you shared your vision for our future, that we would film many more albums, write more love letters, and that you looked forward to every minute you had me in your life. We certainly have filmed many more albums already, and today we've made promises to each other for life. And these words are my next love letter to you. In our early days together, my mum's dad, Pa, asked you if you were able to keep his granddaughter in the manner to which I had become accustomed.
First time I met him as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right, important context. You answered Pa's surprisingly traditional question with a refreshingly contemporary answer that I was proving perfectly capable of keeping myself, but that you would always look after me. Tom, the things I've become accustomed to are all the ways you show me how much you love me each day. The small things that make my heart and soul sing. The kiss with my coffee each morning. Dancing in the kitchen. The twinkle in your eye when you tell me, "So, I have an idea." I've become accustomed to you being both my sanctuary and my call to adventure. I love our quiet time right here up the Hawkesbury River in our little yacht, planning the home we hope to make, imagining the family we hope to raise, and mapping out the epic adventures in all the corners of the world we hope to explore. Our travels and adventures together have taught us so much about each other, from challenging and lifting each other all the way to Everest Base Camp, sending it on the Sydney to Hobart, and travelling New Zealand in a tiny camper van that taught us to make little love nests of our apartment and yacht, just to name a few. The strength of our love has grown from our time apart too, when I studied in Norway and when you worked in Sri Lanka. We complement rather than complete each other, have remained fiercely independent, and are renowned for turning up to everything in separate vehicles. Your preparedness to wait for me while I fulfilled my dream of studying abroad nearly 14 years ago was an incredible gift. And I've known since that trip that while we can be apart, I've wanted to share my life with you. 17 years is a crazy length of time to wait to propose, Tom. And you need to know there are at least 2 leap years that I really seriously considered taking matters into my own hands. But I think we're so lucky to have met so young and to have been friends before we became lovers, and to have spent so much time together. We've both grown and changed with life and time, but we have learned each other inside out and loved every version of each other. I was yours long before you proposed to me, Tom, and there was something so special about having all those magical years knowing that we had found our soulmate and never doubting that we would be married when the time was right. Tom, we haven't fallen in love. We've risen in love together. You've consistently shown me that the you today is even better than before. And so my love and respect for you has kept growing day by day too, more than I ever knew was possible. I'm so proud and so excited to finally be able to call you my husband and to be your wife. And I can't wait to start the rest of our lives together.
That's a hard act to follow. When we first got engaged, one of the things that Martin said to me was that the best bit about a wedding is having all the people that matter to you all congregated in one venue together. How often, he said, does that ever happen in your life? And he was bang on the money, 100%. And I've felt it all day today. Thank you to everyone for being here. Unfortunately, someone has made the grave mistake of handing me the microphone, and there's a lot to be thankful for today. So buckle in, lend me your ear, and here we go. To my groomsmen, for generally keeping me alive in my teenage years and early 20s. Harder task than it may have appeared. Martin, thanks for always being there at the moment it is needed most. Thanks for introducing me to the people who are now my dearest friends. You are a connector of people and a loyal friend. Thanks for always being down for a yarn and a laugh. Ross, thank you for supplying sage advice right at the moment that it's needed most. And thank you for being wise enough to only provide 80% of it, leaving me to fill the last 20% on my own. The number of times I've come to a conclusion, looked at you and realised you were there 10 minutes ago and you steered me to it. Incredible power. James, we've lived in different states for more than a decade, yet you're still the person who most understands the way I see the world and gets the things that I do. I cherish the time that we spend together, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being such a big part of this day. Thank you also for moving interstate so that no one notices how much better than me you are at pretty much everything you do. Thanks also, because when people say things like, "You ride a motorbike? What does your poor mother think?" I get to say, "Oh, that's nothing. You should hear about my brother." To Mum, I'd like to formally apologise on behalf of myself and James. You taught us to chase our dreams and make our own decisions. I guess it's somewhat of a cruel irony for you that leads to James throwing himself off mountains, me throwing my leg over a motorbike, and sailing off into the distance over the horizon. I can still hear your voice over and over again, telling me that if I'm going to do something, do it properly and with passion. You always taught us to not be led and to make our own decisions. Thank you. To Dad, it's such a rare and brilliant gift to share a passion with your father. And through that shared passion, you've shown me so many important things. You've taught me how to set crazy goals and then achieve them, how to stay calm under pressure, to think clearly when it matters most, and to prepare meticulously. It's interesting how things taken for granted when you're younger come into sharper focus as you move into adulthood. I now see the sacrifices and hard work you and Mum went through in a clarity that I never had as a teenager or a young man. I had a charmed and privileged childhood that you both created for me through sacrifice. I'll never forget the sound of the sewing machine at 4 a.m. leading into Christmas, the late nights and early mornings, and the example you both set that you keep working until the work is done. To my sister, Catherine, thank you for always being there, and thank you for your sharp perception of the things that are going on. Thanks also from both of us for the tireless and endless hours you spent designing all of our signage and decorations today. All of the table settings, the signs, all came from Catherine's hand. Your mark is all over these celebrations. Thank you. To Pop. You showed me the value of diligence and commitment over time. Memories of your breakfast laid on the counter the night before an early alarm to go to work have left an impression. Thank you for your kind words tonight and the example you've showed me all my life. You are the ultimate humble family man. I hope to emulate I'm going to lose it here. I hope to emulate something of the relationship you had with Nan and the life that you carved for your family. It occurred to me last week. That Lauren and I had crafted what Nan would think was the perfect wedding. Everything from the decor to the decorations, to the people and the family. Almost by accident, it's like she's here in the room tonight. Lauren and I both miss our grandparents, you might have noticed. And occasions like this always cast our minds to them. You may have noticed that as well. We've honoured all our grandparents and our parents on the fireplace at the back help with much help from Catherine. If you get a chance, have a look at the love and relationships that led Lauren and I to this occasion tonight. Finally, to all our people, you mean so much to Lauren and I. To my extended family, such a privilege to have a childhood with so much time spent with cousins, aunts and uncles. To the uni crew and in particular the hardy souls of the Wollstonecraft share house. It's a rare thing to move out with someone for the first time at the end of uni and still be friends 15 years later. Thank you for that. To all the sailors in the room, you've seen an intensity in me that would surprise many of the people here tonight. Thanks for putting up with me when the only thing I care about in the entire world is how fast the boat is going right now. In particular to those I've spent time with offshore. Thanks for showing me what being tough really means. Thanks for dragging me out of my bunk when I thought I had nothing left to give. Thanks for having my back, and thank you for trusting me to have yours. To Warwick and Sue, thank you for the trust that you gave that slightly stealthy yet somehow very loud 20-year-old. Thank you for fixing my car. I had actually forgotten about that until tonight. apparently Sue had my back in a way much stronger than I ever appreciated at the time. And thanks to my Uncle John for selling me the car. He told me I could get the brakes fixed for a bargain, but boy didn't he know. To my beautiful wife. We fell in love when I was a hopelessly naive and optimistic 20-year-old, and you were a determined young woman throwing yourself into the world. Weddings are about promises, commitments, and hopes for the future, but after 17 years, this one is also about celebrating what we've already achieved and the impact we've had on each other along the way. It was a pleasure to craft my vows for today. The truth is, it was an expression of something I've been trying to practice for a very long time already. This wedding has given me the opportunity to properly articulate what I strive for in our relationship, but also to closely admire and appreciate the things that you do for me. We are now newlyweds. But the truth is, your love has shaped how that naive 20-year-old version of me has grown into the man that I am today. You have pushed me and supported me. You have pulled me up when I'm on the wrong path, been a shoulder to cry on, propelled me to my successes, and picked up the pieces the many times I've failed. Already as a couple, we've lived through challenges and shared in amazing successes, and I feel every time we are tested, our partnership grows only stronger. The future is so full of hope and opportunities, and I can't wait to walk towards them holding your hand. I'm not so naive as to think we won't face immense challenges, but I take my vows today very seriously, and I have so much faith in our ability to face anything as a team. Thank you for showing me how to practice diligence and discipline. Thank you for showing me the true meaning of hard work. Thank you for always allowing me the space to chase harebrained ideas. Thank you for always supporting me in my goals, even when they take me away from you. Thank you for trying so many new and crazy things just so you could share them with me. For example. Thank you for throwing yourself down that black run, even though you'd only been skiing a few days. Thank you for going on scuba trips in Thailand, the Great Barrier Reef, Sri Lanka, Port Stephens, even though when we first met, you told me you hated snorkeling.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for going on my mountain bike tour when I was in bed with food poisoning from foolishly drinking dairy in Laos.
Why did you do that?
On that note, thank you for doing a 90-kilometre 2-day bike ride through the Nepalese foothills the day before your trek of a lifetime, with a final stint through peak hour in Kathmandu, even though you hate bike riding. Yeah. Thank you for getting me home after the men in that Vietnamese village decided to trick me into drinking a year's supply of homemade rice wine. Thank you for not being too mad when I went hot air ballooning in Turkey with the boys instead of you.
So mad.
Thank you.
Actually, not mad, just disappointed.
Well, thank you also for not being too mad when I went back again with you and I still didn't propose. Thank you for meeting me at the airport in Paris after your 6-month exchange, even though I lost my passport in Sri Lanka, had limited comms, and no one really knew where in the world I was. Thank you for not blinking when I quit my job, spent 3 months working in Sri Lanka, did an adventure race in Alaska, followed by work and a scuba course in Antigua, and came home basically broke. Thank you for docking off for Hobart with me in 2019, even though you normally get seasick before you even make it outside the heads. Thank you for supporting my lofty goals as a sailor and coach, even though I only have 9.5 fingers. And thank you for your strategic pause before exclaiming, "Finally!" when I eventually did propose in Yosemite. Thank you for grounding me. Thank you for being my unwavering rock. Thank you for believing in me even when all the evidence suggested otherwise. Most of all, thank you for choosing me. We're about to kick off into the final dancing stage of the evening, but we've got a dessert for you to fire you up for the dance floor before we kick off. And Lauren and I are going to start off with the dance after Warwick finishes his. So sit down and relax, get the dessert into you, and we'll see you very shortly.
You better be out there.